Hey squad, this is part two for, I think we figured out what these New Jersey drones are. If you haven't seen the first one, I will go ahead and link that in the comments down below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there should be a link for it in the lower left part of your screen. If not, just go back into my shorts. You should be able to find it there. So I really want to answer some of the comments from that first video because I think people were trying to say, yeah, but, and I have answers and explanations for all of that. So number one, it is not aliens, guys. We now have some really pretty good, clear images of these things. They have propellers, they have navigation lights that are to the standard of the FAA. This is clearly something that's man-made, right? And the fact that it's to the standard of the FAA also speaks to the fact that it's probably American-made, not Chinese, right? But we're going to get to the Chinese theory again in a second. All right, number two, people are saying these things are too big. Well, let me tell you something. We've had big drones for a while. They're actually being used in Ukraine, and just because you haven't seen them on the commercial market doesn't mean the U.S. doesn't have them. I know for a fact that we have had very large drones, the size of cars. There's ones that are even bigger than that I don't think anyone's seen yet, but there's ones that are, that's all I'm going to say for now. All right, number three, people are saying the batteries aren't consistent with the commercial drone batteries. Well, they're not commercial drones. These are military drones. We don't know exactly what kind of batteries there are in this, but just like drone technology, battery technology is always being improved. And I actually follow this for something else. There is a new type of battery that's even better than lithium ion that is not available to civilians yet. It's still kind of being tested. My theory is that that's what's probably running these things, but it could be something else entirely that's not even known to civilians. So just because you haven't seen this type of battery yet doesn't mean that it's aliens or little green men from space. Now, I'm not trying to mock people who believe in aliens. I actually am somebody who's a skeptic who wants to believe. It's a real big universe out there. There's a lot of things that we don't know yet. So there certainly is a possibility that there's other life out there. There's certainly a possibility that there's advanced life out there that has found its way to Earth, and we just don't openly speak about that. What I'm saying is that this isn't that. All right, number four, people were saying, well, you know, this is happening all around the world. Yes, there is some weird stuff that's going on all around the world, including in the UK. And what's going on in other parts of the world, I can't really comment on because I don't know. I haven't seen enough footage to say, oh, that's what I think this is. The footage in the UK is really, really weird and interesting. I have no idea what that is. Maybe that is the space aliens if you want to go in that direction with it. But it's not the same thing that we're seeing in New Jersey. And I'm specifically talking about the drones that are being spotted above New Jersey. All right, number five, people are saying why, if this is a U.S. test, then why wouldn't the sheriff and the local law enforcement and the FBI know about it? Well, you have to think about this like if it's a red cell test, which I think it's a red cell test, a red team test, a pen test, which is otherwise a penetration test, they're not going to let many people know. It's only going to be authorized by very, very top levels of like DOD and Homeland Security, right? So those people would know, and then very few other people would know. I also think some of when our pilots have spotted what they think is aliens, it's actually probably some kind of test craft, and they're not telling the pilots because they want to see how the pilots react to that. Whole different video probably for that one. But when you're doing a fire drill, right, those of you who work for a big business or own a big business, you don't tell people we're going to do a fire drill. Well, you can, but you're not going to get good results because everybody's kind of ready to go. So the result, it skews the results of what you're trying to measure, which in this case is probably how, I'm just guessing now, how are people reacting to this? Does it cause panic? How long does it take law enforcement to scramble a helicopter or their own drones? Things like that, right? So that's probably what they're testing here, and also the media's reaction to this. On top of some other things, they could be testing 20 different things while they're doing this, but you wouldn't let everybody know, right? So, well, Sarge, what about, there could be incidents of this? Yes, there could be. I'll get to that in a second, but the governor has reportedly been briefed by Homeland Security and DOD, which tells me he probably is aware now that this is a red cell, red team pen test. That's what I think anyways. And he was probably told you can't tell people because we're still testing. But he's probably been told, tell your law enforcement to stand down. Do not try to knock these things out of the sky. They're very expensive. And that's why we keep getting this message from the U.S. government and now the governor of these things are not a threat. Okay, but that's all they'll tell you. All right, last little piece here. So I think that if this was truly a Chinese threat, right? Like if this was Chinese drones, yes, we did have the spy balloon come through the United States and we didn't do anything about that. I agree. And I think that was a failure on the United States part. Like, that should have been taken down. There was part of the time where it was traveling over very remote areas. There was no civilization around. They absolutely should have and could have taken it down. Why Biden didn't authorize that, I don't know. You got to ask him. But if this is we're not talking about that situation. This one here, we're actually over rural areas where there are houses, there are businesses. If one of these things fails, yes, it's imagine a car-sized drone landing on it. It is going to cause damage. Well, people are saying, well, Sarge, the U.S. government wouldn't take that risk. Really? Okay, so I want you to look up Richard Marcinko in the red cell tests and the amount of crazy risks that they took pushing the boundaries of the law, and they were authorized at the highest levels of the Pentagon to do so. And then come back and tell me if you don't think the United States would take some risks. I want you to go and research Operation Northwoods, where they were the U.S. government was considering an operation where they would have actually crashed a U.S. civilian plane full of passengers to authorize a war. And then come back and tell me that you don't think the United States would put its own citizens at risk, okay? Because they absolutely would. They will justify just about anything for the purpose of developing better weapons, okay? You're fooling yourself if you think that they care about the possible casualties if this thing lands on a house. You really are. I'm sorry. It's in the interest of national security, right? That's what the excuse is always going to be. So I don't think these are Chinese drones because of all those reasons I said above. If it was Chinese drones in the number that you're seeing above New Jersey, I do think there would have been a response already. I do think they would be knocking these things out of the sky. Okay, so everything adds up to this is U.S. made. There's numerous defense contractors in that area. It's probably one of them. It's their new toy, and they have authorization to test this, and they're testing all kinds of different things: public reaction, media reaction, police response time. And then either we're going to find out about this when it gets declassified, or they're just going to disappear and nobody's going to talk about it anymore, and they'll move on to the next story, and people go on to their TikTok and reality TV and red wine, because Americans are very apathetic and we just want to be numbed out and entertained sometimes. So that's what's really going on, in my opinion. I can't prove it yet, but all signs are pointing to that. Unfortunately, that's all I can say for now. I do think you're going to get this declassified in the future. Might not happen until Trump gets in office. I don't know. Could happen this week. I'll tell you what. Those of you who are disagreeing with me, if this is still going on Friday, I go live on Fridays at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If this is still going on Friday and we still don't have answers, I will make this my live stream topic for Friday. Okay? So you can come and you can debate me, and we'll just keep it civil, right? I'll be respectful to your viewpoints, and if you can counter and you can disagree with me, and you can even say you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't really care if that's what you want to say, but make your point of why you think it's something else. Okay, so please come to that live stream Friday, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If this is still going on, who knows? We may have answers, or it may just stop tonight. I don't know. All right, so this is part 2 in the New Jersey drone mystery solved. At least I believe it's solved, in my opinion. Now it's your turn. Let me know down in the comments if you think I'm completely out of line here.